Now the government has had, contrary to what may be stated by them, they've had a bad week in Parliament. Let's accept that. They are pulling out all the toolkits from George Soros, Ford Foundation, and they're suggesting that they destabilize nations. Who is going to examine this so-called motion of Mr. Nishikant Dubey?
Nobody has an idea.
The speaker has recused himself because there is no confidence motion against him. Adequate MPs have signed that. So who is going to examine this, what he is calling? It is to give the headline for the day. It is to have all the news portals say, Rahul Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi membership to be cancelled. I'm already seeing, if Rahul Gandhi responds, the media is already saying Rahul Gandhi is getting angry. All of that stuff is there. It's on instruction. It's happening. And it would be outrageous, of course, if Rahul Gandhi is thrown out of parliament, if he loses his membership, if he's not allowed. Of course, it would be outrageous.
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. BJP MP Nishikant Dubey announced that he has moved a substantive motion in the Lok Sabha against the leader of the opposition, Rahul Gandhi, accusing him of misleading the nation. Now, the motion says that Nishikant Dubey is seeking the termination of Rahul Gandhi's parliamentary membership and a lifetime ban on contesting elections, which means there are two goals to this substantive motion. First, the termination of Rahul Gandhi's parliamentary membership, and second is getting a lifetime ban on contesting elections. Now, there are many technical infirmities also in this substantive motion. I got hold of a copy of this substantive motion, and I just want to play out certain portions so that the viewers also get an idea, which is very, very interesting. And just carefully see the language which has been written. Now, Shri Rahul Gandhi has a perpetual propensity of depicting himself as a macho man, though he's already 55 years of age and just 5 years short of getting the decorated title of senior citizen. Nonetheless, he's a frequent traveler of various destinations, especially Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, Bahrain. It is also very interesting to note that the entire Gandhi clan is fond of demanding high security and other paraphernalia within India. But when Shri Rajiv Gandhi, so which means that there is no difference between Rajiv Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi. The substantive motion is against Rahul Gandhi, but they don't even bother to check. And they have mentioned the name of Rajiv Gandhi. So here it goes. But when Shri Rajiv Gandhi goes to these countries, he neither requests the government to extend his security cover in the visiting countries, but inform the High Commission or the Embassy of India. In other words, whenever he goes out on tour, it is invariably shrouded in mystery. The answer in this puzzle lies in his being an active member of Ford Foundation through his so-called uncle gladiator cum protector and Joshua Savior. We all know that Ford Foundation is a notorious entity for destabilizing various states with regime change. There is also a pertinent question requiring inquiry, investigation, that which individual entity has been funding. So this is one portion. Now let me put out the second portion. This is the most serious part of it. Now, all the above narrated misdemeanors and unethical conduct of Shri Rahul Gandhi are just tip of the iceberg. And now that he has very cleverly able to capture the most pious dais of parliament to foment public sentiments, leveling unsubstantiated allegations not only against the Election Commission of India, but even our Honorable Supreme Court of India, lowering the dignity of the government without any substantive evidence, and putting various other institutions in bad light with the active connivance of George Soros, Ford Foundation, Satyanarayanan Gangaram Pitroda, alias Sam Pitroda. The need of the hour is to conduct an urgent Yes, the need of the hour is to conduct an urgent, structured inquiry to examine all his unethical conduct in the capacity of being a member of parliament and the leader of the opposition with a view to ensuring his immediate expulsion from Lok Sabha. I also requested that the unethical conduct of Sri Rahul Gandhi, which has attained a Frankenstein proportion, should also be discussed in the House so that the citizens of our country should also know that how the foreign aided toolkit has infiltrated into the Indian polity for attaining their devious plan of destabilizing India. So this is one portion. And then the next portion, I was able to lay hands on these three portions. It is a widely acclaimed fact that neither any citizen of our country nor any public representative or high official does anything which lowers the dignity of our armed forces. There is thus a tacit understanding amongst all the members of parliament, irrespective of party affiliations, not to drag the armed forces or its functionaries for scoring transient political mileage. However, there is thus a tacit understanding amongst all the members of parliament, irrespective of party affiliations, not to drag the armed forces and its functionaries for scoring transient political mileage. However, these ethical mores are not, it should be moves. So ethical moves are not applicable to Sri Rahul Gandhi, which is evident from the speech delivered in Lok Sabha on 11th February 2026, wherein he has cunningly dragged the name of former Chief of Army Staff General Manoj Mukund Narwane by quoting his unpublished book with his ulterior motive defaming the Indian Army vis-a-vis the Ministry of Defense, along with shamefully involved. So this is the crux of it, that they want the termination of Rahul Gandhi's parliamentary membership and also a lifetime ban on him contesting the elections. Now, this substantive motion comes a day after when Kiran Rijiju, who is a parliamentary affairs minister, he said that he will be filing a privilege notice, or the BJP MPs will file a privilege notice against Rahul Gandhi. But today, when the parliament reconvened in the morning, there was no mention of the privilege notice anywhere. In fact, Nishikant Dubey spoke to PTI and has said that we are not introducing any privilege motion, but there is a motion to get his membership terminated and also a life ban on him contesting elections. Now, what does this privilege motion mean? And also the substantive motion which they are talking about, does it have any merit, or will it just be trashed at the first go? Can that extreme step be taken against Rahul Gandhi? If you remember Indira Gandhi, way back, decades back, even she was through a privilege committee. She was, in fact, she was also sent to jail. So can that history get repeated again? All these are big questions now. So joining me this evening on all what's happening in Parliament, joining me this evening is senior journalist, political commentator and author Saba Naqvi. Saba, thank you so much for joining on Truth Be Told. And this substantive motion which Nishikant Dubey is trying to bring against Rahul Gandhi, how much merit does it hold? And also looking at the contents which we just read out, what do you feel about this substantive motion?
So I'm uneasy. He's calling it a substantive motion. I'm not. I've heard privilege motion. You know, the word substantive. Let's say that he's bringing a motion. He wants to debar Rahul Gandhi from Parliament. Now the government has had, contrary to what may be stated by them, they've had a bad week in Parliament. Let's accept that, because Jeffrey Epstein issue was stated on the floor of the House by Rahul Gandhi. The book of the former army chief, the manuscript of the former army chief, which does not show the Modi dispensation in good light over at the time of a border standoff with China, was mentioned by Rahul Gandhi. And thirdly, over all of this, Neelu, hangs over the Indo-US trade deal. And what is interesting to me, the extracts that you've read out, they are pulling out all the toolkits from George Soros, Ford Foundation, and they're suggesting that they destabilize nations. Now, let's not forget that in South Asia, we've had a lot of swift regime change around it happened in Sri Lanka in 2022, it happened in Nepal, and it happened in Bangladesh. And which is why some people say that Sonam Wangchuk, the climate activist, was picked up and put into jail. And because they fear that something is going to happen. Obviously, India is too large and our democracy has been in place for a long time. I'm not talking about regime change here, but there is a fear there is actually a fear in the mind of foreign forces and all, in the psyche, the WhatsApp university psyche. But what is a couple of things? If the government was serious about bringing a motion, let a minister bring it, let another MP, Nishikant Dubey, can bring a sort of thing which may not stand the light of day. However, when it comes to Rahul Gandhi, let's not forget that, was it 2 years ago, Nilu? I have not had time, when there was a case which would have had him debarred from contesting election. A Gujarat court convicted him, and the punishment passed the duration where he would be debarred. A conviction, as we all know, you can be a criminal, but if you're not a convict, you can continue to contest elections. In that case, over a very an old speech, a Gujarat court said that he's convicted. And then, of course, the legal issues that would have lost him his member of parliamentship. The other point, and that, if I recall rightly, came out at the time when he was raising a report involving a business group. That was when the government didn't want to discuss that, and a report that came out in the US, and that is when suddenly this thing happened, and then he's still there, and it would be outrageous, of course, if Rahul Gandhi is thrown out of parliament, if he loses his membership, if he's not allowed. Of course, it would be outrageous. But I'm just saying that these days, anything can happen. If the Lok Sabha speaker can say that women MPs were about to attack the Prime Minister of India and not file a FIR, not call in the security agencies, and not even call in the marshals of the house, then what are we talking about? I mean, I have questions. Call in everybody. The Prime Minister's security is precious to all of us. On live camera, this is what has been said, and this is what commentators and all who are allied with the regime have tried to say, that really there was a threat. Look how close they are standing. They have issued footage. All of this has actually happened. It's unbelievable.
Oftentimes, this government has been saying, and especially inside parliament, that look, whatever the opposition members are saying, they should substantiate, they should authenticate. Now the same thing Nishikant Dubey, if he introduces, if at all, we do not know for sure, because right now the substantive motion of Nishikant Dubey has not been tabled. So there are doubts whether he will table it or not, because obviously it's going to come after the recess. It's going to come sometimes in March. But will he do that? There's a big question mark on that. And secondly, do you think that he'll be able to authenticate all this? That Rahul Gandhi has connections with George Soros and all of that?
You don't need to authenticate anything these days. No, you just have WhatsApp University. You just make wild claims. It was never authenticated during the farmers' protests, which would worry them. The legacy of the farmers' protests, which took place for a year between 2020 and 2021, till the government called them off before elections in Uttar Pradesh. Now there is some concern, I don't know the details, that a section of farmers might be upset with what we actually find out about the Indo-US trade deal. We don't know. The government is saying, no, there is no reason for concern, and I would like to believe them. But every now and then, the United States, people in the US say other things, that pulses, which is dals, are on the list. They say some animal feed is on the list, GM manufactured. So they are saying things which raise unsettling issues. So all of this is there in the atmospherics. The atmospherics have not actually been muddied only by what is going on in India. It is also by what has happened with us, what's happened with the regime, with the Donald Trump establishment, and that is bad news. So for the government, because it spoils the optics of Vishwaguru, that we are a great leader, and we don't seem to be getting that kind of
and also, you see, Kiran Rijiju, it looks like an indication of a very nervous government. They are somewhere down the line, they're very scared, because yesterday when Kiran Rijiju came out of the Lok Sabha and he spoke to the reporters, he immediately said that we will bring in a privilege motion. But later on, all the news websites started putting out the fact that, there'll be a privilege motion against Rahul Gandhi, but nobody bothered to check that we do not have a privilege committee as of now. And so today, Manikam Tagore pointed this out, that to whom are you going to issue the privilege notice when there is no privilege committee? So
I want to know then, Neelu, have you found out, since you host so many shows in the day, that who is going to examine this so-called motion of Mr. Nishikant Dubey? Who?
Nobody has an idea.
The speaker has recused himself because there is a no confidence motion against him. Adequate MPs have signed that. So who is going to examine this, what he is calling? It is to give the headline for the day. It is to have all the news portals say, Rahul Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi membership to be cancelled. I'm already seeing, if Rahul Gandhi responds, the media is already saying Rahul Gandhi is getting angry. All of that stuff is there. It's on instruction. It's happening. So it is to
I think you're right, because these privilege motions have become, against Rahul Gandhi specifically, they have become nothing but headline management tactics. But the point is that there was a privilege notice against Rahul Gandhi in 2023, then in 2025, and now again in 2026, there's another privilege notice they're talking about, which of course now they has taken a backseat. But since you asked about the speaker, Lok Sabha speaker, since there is a motion of removal against him, so he's not going to be attending the Lok Sabha. He said on the moral grounds he will not attend the House. So we have some person in the chair, on a rotation basis. Of late, we've been seeing Krishna Teneti, then we've been seeing Jagdambika Pal sitting on the chair. But who is going to really accept Nishikant Dubey's motion? We do not know that. But do you think there might be a possibility that, the government was trying to do a payback with the opposition because they tried to bring in a removal motion against Speaker? Then Rahul Gandhi was also very aggressive about Naravne's book, and then, of course, the US trade deal. So do you see this as some kind of a payback also by the government, that, look, you are talking aggressive, then we can also go aggressive?
I mean, of course, that is there. But I think the government also has a schedule in mind. Now, on Friday, tomorrow, on Friday the 13th, it's Friday the 13th, am I right? God. Yeah. On Friday the 13th, this part of the budget session will close and there will be a recess. By which time, during the recess, I think the dates of the assembly elections to the 4 states will get announced. And there's already action over there. There's parallel stories in Assam. The Chief Minister of Assam and the Chief Minister of Bengal has come to the Supreme Court. And there are all these conferences involving the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. But the real stories which we are seeing in Delhi is coming out of Assam and Bengal right now. A lot of intensity, conflict. So the election dates will be announced, I think, by then. Then the so-called motion on the no confidence motion will come up. Now I don't think the government would like any conversation on the no confidence motion, because regardless of for Om Birla personally, look, if I was a speaker and in my Wikipedia entry, it will always be that he was an individual against whom a no confidence motion was brought by the Indian opposition. The no confidence motion in terms is designed to bring attention to the behavior of the speaker, who is supposed to be above party alliances and be fair-minded and represent institutional fairness. That would be highlighted. I don't think the government wants any coherent conversation or anything like that. So, in a sense, but I think that is one concern. But largely, it is designed to discredit Rahul Gandhi, to threaten anyone who may speak out. It's about multiple things, because I don't think Modi, Amit Shah, Modi or Rajnath Singh care so much about Om Birla. He's useful. He's an extension of them. But it is about the image of the Prime Minister. It is about the constant humiliations that the United States President has put on India very unfairly. Very unfairly. He has disrespected our country. Very unfair kind of things that India has had to endure, whimsical behavior, humiliating behavior. Repeatedly, again 2 days ago, he spoke about this so-called ceasefire that he brokered, which is problematic for a political party which seeks to say that we are saving the nation all the time. Which is why the entire book of the general, the manuscript of the general. It's not correct to call it a book since it's not been published, and is also an issue. And so I think it's a multiplicity of things. It's not been a good time for the government. The other thing is the Epstein files. It's pretty shameful, You see a minister trying to casually justify meeting a man who was already called out as a sexual predator of small children. Shouldn't the government sack him? But in the middle of all this, Neelu, there is something else which I'd like to say. There is something which has shifted within the political situation. I think after the 24 Lok Sabha election, when the BJP suddenly got a shock, when the simple majority of 2 terms came down, they got a shock. They are technically a coalition government right now, right? There's no problem for them because they have both the allies by the throat. I mean, one is Nitish Kumar, one is Chandrababu Naidu. They're okay. They're okay for numbers, but the simple majority could have gone. Had there not been 20 seats out of Odisha, the regime could have fallen. There would have been 220. We don't know that, right? What has happened since then is that the government is trying to control the structures of elections so carefully that it is after the 24 Lok Sabha election that things began to change. I'm not making the claim that everything is cheating. I'm not even saying that. But they have tried to change the pattern of elections. They want inconvenient voters gone more than they did before. It's not the only time. Everybody wants inconvenient voters gone. So something shifted, and there is one equation of the Modi era that turned around. It used to be said in the first 10 years, if you recall, that the BJP in the Modi era performs very well nationally, but in the states, the regional parties perform better. They have flipped that equation. By hook or by crook, by any means possible. So let's examine how they have gone about it. Haryana was a close contest. They fanned out, and it's arguable the Congress made a few mistakes. In Maharashtra, parties were split in preparation for it. Money was doled out just before the election campaign. There are charges of vote chori, but I'm not even going there because I can prove nothing. But it was fought ruthlessly. The cadre of the Sangh Parivar, who were lax in the Lok Sabha, came together. It did not work in Jharkhand because you need to have government in your hands to enable this fully. But they are winning. Then in Delhi, in the city of Delhi, AAP was jailed. The rules were changed, which gives the Delhi government, they lost authority. The courts gave them right over bureaucrats, but the government changed the laws. There are 2 crucial laws that the government changed. They changed the laws in Parliament to choose the Election Commissioner of India. They removed the Chief Justice from the panel. Why did they bother to do that if they were such a confident winning party? They wanted to make sure that a panel of 3, where 2 BJP people and 1 opposition person is there choosing the person who's the Election Commissioner of India. Number 1. Number 2, when it came to the Delhi election, which is big on optics, they put that entire party virtually in jail, the leadership of that party, and they changed the governance rules. Again, they went over a court order, Supreme Court order given by DYC, and who said that the control of the bureaucracy has to be with the elected representatives. They went there and they changed the rules. They went to Parliament and they passed another law. So everything became deadly serious after 24.
No, but before these set of elections, which we are going to have now in Assam, West Bengal, Puducherry, and of course all these the 4 or 5 states which are going to polls, just before the polls, is this the toughest time which the government is facing, and not because of the internal factors so much, it's because of Donald Trump and the impact it is having.
So then your Vishwa Guru image starts to unravel. No, you are going on saying we are the great leader. The world is in so much turmoil. The world is in so much turmoil that somehow you're not being able to say we are a great leader, and in the middle of that, and Donald Trump has treated us really disrespectfully. And yet India doesn't want to be in the China, Russia, The thing is, we are so nervous right now about the Americans that if you recall, we have a long relationship with Russia. We've been buying oil at very good terms. The Russian President Vladimir Putin came to India just some months ago. He gave interviews, interesting interviews to media outlets in India. He spent time, he gave, yet we seem to have agreed to the terms that we must not buy Russian oil according to the Donald Trump establishment. The government has not announced it. So that is a question of sovereignty. That is serious. A country which has
But in these elections,
yeah.
no, but Saba, do you think that in these elections, this compromised PM slogan now, which Congress and the entire opposition is raising, this can really stick on the minds of the people, whether it is in West Bengal or Puducherry or anywhere else?
So what I do think is where the government is heading into these elections is that there are three states where they are not in power ideologically, and they would like to be. And the one where they have a vote share is Bengal. Assam, of course, they are in power. But I'm looking at the other three states, and these are important states in their own way. And they are not in power, so that control over institutions and all goes away from them, right? So what do you do there? So then they are very dependent on, they were hoping that Sir would lead to these mass exclusions. And this is not something I'm saying rhetorically. A lot of media has done stories, including newspapers have done stories about the complaints and so on and so forth, which they're finding that people are, depending on who they are, there are more questions raised over their right to vote. This has come out across the media. Traditional media, more liberal website media, but even the newspapers have reported. They've sent reporters. So it's not something I'm manufacturing. So the idea of the citizens, they're trying to change that. Number two is that. Number three, so they have less control than they've had. Maharashtra, they had control. Haryana, they had a government. Bihar, they still had their own government. These are the elections they have won. Delhi, they had sent the entire leadership of AAP to jail, and they had taken away their powers. The powers of government were taken away, whatever powers they have. In Delhi, in any case, law and order did not fall under the Aam Aadmi Party government. So they are ruthless. Here, it is more challenging. Yet they are trying everything. And they would be trying, and in Bengal they would be trying for much more. Nilu, it's also the last ideological bastions in many ways. Kerala is left ruled, left, and the Congress is supposed to be the party with the Congress alliance. The Dravida ideology, they have so far not been able to defeat, but doesn't mean they don't keep trying. Ally from here, ally from there, they have not been able to defeat. Mamata Banerjee's form of subnationalism, which is Bengali subnationalism, in a very distinct cultural zone, they have so far not been able to defeat. But the warning here is the Mamata Banerjee in the last election had 48% of the vote. The Bharatiya Janata Party had 38%. So they've grown over there,
But Saba, coming to the last question and then coming back to the mood question of this substantive motion moved by Nishikant Dubey. Of course, we do not know whether he's going to table it or finally let it go off. We do not know. But the kind of tempers which were seen in the first week of the budget session or the first half of the budget session, it seems that BJP is in no mood to let Rahul Gandhi, go and without being punished or anything.
Yes.
So do you think that BJP with its brute majority, even if they overlook the technical infirmities of the substantive motion, they might just get this termination sailing through? Who knows?
I mean, it will be challenged, let's face it. There are lawyers. One thing, Parliament is full of lawyers.
Yeah.
That's the upper house in particular, the finest in the land. So it will get legally challenged. I mean, there is a point, of course, institutions are not fair, but there is also a certain process. So we have to see the charges. To me, what you have read out sound pretty wild. They are about him being an agent of X, Y, and Z. They are about him traveling abroad. What is the charge on which one has to read through the document? A lot of it is innuendo, slander. It's just, I don't like you, so I'm going to get you. It is very much in the line of WhatsApp University forwards. So far, the sections that you have read out in your show. That is the charges that Nishikant Dubey has said. And the point is about bringing down the dignity of the army. How does that logically add up? This is an extract which was published in a magazine, and before that, published in PTI, which is a news agency. Extracts of the former army chief's books, which Rahul Gandhi read out. Neelu, if you don't read out, Nishikant Dubey himself, from what I gather, was reading out scurrilous stuff about the personal life of Jawaharlal Nehru, reading out, before Rahul Gandhi read out a published article. So you cannot have, you can try, but will you legally pass how far will you try and pass all the stages of subverting the law and just locking up people you don't like? It has been very normal for articles and books to be referred to in the course of parliamentary debates. It has happened. I myself have done articles which have been referred to. I remember there was an investigation on the Centre of Properties. It was all referred to. There was something about some work thing years ago. All of these people use your articles as reference. MPs call you up for sources, for the reference links if there are any. But that is a parliament when there are committees which then sit and they examine an issue. We have already seen the degradation of Indian parliament, where they don't even send any matter to any committee. So whereas in the old days, Neelu, if there's anything before the law, anything of law, anything of policy, they would actually be consulting people, calling them, the whole panel of MPs. The government has been doing away with that tradition. They don't want any scrutiny. And by the way, the one law that they did take back, the farm laws, they passed them without sending it to a select committee, but they had to reverse it because they were confronted with the protests. Absolutely. That then they said is also funded by Soros and foreign powers, and everything was said then also. So any legitimate protest is funded by someone who is against the nation.
No, it's a cut and dried pattern which BJP always follows. But now with the moot question of this substantive motion moved against Rahul Gandhi and seeking his termination from Lok Sabha and a life ban on him contesting elections, that is something to be watched out for. We'll have to see how the second half of the budget session plays out. And like what Saba said, that you have crucial assembly elections in the middle of all this. So how will they play up this issue is also, we'll have to wait and watch. Thank you so much, Saba, for joining on HW.
Pleasure, Neelu. Entirely pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.